Good evening to you all. So we are here with another video continuing our series regarding the question solving related to the topic of Prime Minister and the Council of Minister. So going further forward, coming to question number 26. Council of Minister is responsible to. So before solving this question, I want to make you clear some political terminology which is used in our parliamentary system. Though I told you in the previous video that what is the meaning of responsibility. Parliamentary system, parliamentary form of government is also called responsible form of government, and I told you the reason. Because in parliamentary form of government, executive is responsible to legislature, and executive is responsible to legislature in two senses. First, first is that I told you that all the decisions which are taken by executive, they can be questioned in the parliament, which we call legislature. So these policies can be questioned in the parliament. There are various tools like question R, zero R. I told you about much in detail in the previous video, so you can watch that video. And one other word is also used, that is collectively responsible. So the difference between both these words is that this word collective responsible has been used in our Indian Constitution under Article 75 Clause 3. There it is written that the COM shall be collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. So you must always remember that when the word collective responsibility is used, then you must always go with that collective the Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. You should not if there are two options like Lok Sabha and Parliament, then you must always go with the constitutional obligation which is written there, that is Lok Sabha, not the Parliament. Though we know that executive is responsible to Parliament also, but in general we say that it is responsible to Parliament, and I told you that how it is responsible to Parliament. But when it comes to collective responsibility, it is written that it is collectively responsible to Lok Sabha, and here it is used in the sense that the party which command the majority in Lok Sabha, the party which command the majority in the Lok Sabha forms the government. So suppose in no confidence motion passes in Lok Sabha, then whole COM, Prime Minister and Council of Minister has to resign. Means they are collectively responsible. It will not be like that one or more minister resign and other remain in power. This I told you that they swim together, they sink together. The other meaning of collective responsibility is also that all that the if any decision is taken by the party in the power, or that is executive, then all the minister, all the member of COM have to support that decision. If they are not ready to support the decision, then they must be ready to resign. And I told you the example of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who resigned in the Nehru's cabinet over the Hindu Code Bill in the 1953. So these are two technical words which are generally used, and question are framed in such a manner that students get confused. So we will go back to the question. The Council of Ministers is responsible to. So I told you that in specific it is responsible to Lok Sabha, but here Lok Sabha is not given. Then the nearest option is Parliament, and we know that Council of Minister is in general responsible to Parliament, and I told you that in what manner it is responsible to Parliament. So that must be clear to you. To whom is the Council of Minister responsible? So it is responsible to these three options seems to incorrect. The Parliament is the right answer, because in the explanation also it has been written that Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to Lok Sabha, and this is under Article 73, 75 Clause 3. So there must not be any doubt. The Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to. Here it is clearly written, and the option is also given Lok Sabha. If the option is not, the Lok Sabha is not in the option, then you must go with Parliament. So coming to next question, the Prime Minister of India is responsible to whom? So we know that Prime Minister and Council of Ministers responsible to specifically to Lok Sabha, in general to Parliament. So here option is Lok Sabha, is all Lok Sabha is there, then we will go with the Lok Sabha. Coming to question number 30, which of one of the following is not a correct situation arising after the resignation of Council of Minister? So these are the options. The President rule will be imposed, the President will ask to continue till alternative arrangement. So these are the options, but here I will explain this question, then what this question is demanding. So first of all, this question says that after the resignation of Council of Minister, it does not tell that it is whether it is talking about at the center or the state level. We will analyze both situations. When the resignation of Council of Minister take place at center and at state. So suppose a resignation of Council of Minister take place at center, at Government of India level, then what happens? Then the ball is in the court of President. It is up to the President. He will not immediately dissolve Lok Sabha. Rather, he will call the largest opposition party to form government, because first he will try to look out for the alternative. So he will go to the largest opposition party. Second, he can go to largest pre-poll alliance. Third, he must go to post poll alliance. So this is the sequence President has to follow while appointing the Prime Minister and Council of Minister. This is according to the Sarkaria Commission report. That's first, he has to go with the largest opposition party, largest opposition pre-poll alliance, and post poll alliance. So these are the three conditions. These are at the center. Now we will talk about at the state. But before that, one more situation arises. Suppose President is not successful in getting any favorable situation, that no party is able to form the government. There is a situation of hung parliament. Then what happens? So in case of hung parliament, though it is not called President rule, but here we say that President rule is imposed on the country, but this can be done for maximum of 6 months. President dissolve the Lok Sabha and call for fresh election. So this is the situation when there is a condition of hung parliament after the president has tried all the alternative formulas for government formation. So this is basically the situation at the center, and similar situation happens at the state level also, but with some differences. Like in the case of state, suppose CM resigns, then what happens? The governor will look out for the alternative. I told you that the sequence are same: largest party, opposition party, pre-poll alliance, and post-poll alliance. So these are the three situations. And fourth is that in case of hung assembly, what happens? Hung assembly is that the president rule, governor dissolve the legislative assembly, and president rule is imposed by the parliament after the approval of the parliament. Uh, and we will talk much more in detail about this president rule, which is imposed under article 356. We will discuss it much more in detail in the chapter of emergency, when we will discuss the various type of emergencies in India. So for as of now, you must remember that in case of hung assembly, the governor dissolve the legislative assembly, and the president rule is imposed after the after the approval from the parliament. And it's working, that how it work under the president rule. We will discuss this much more in detail when we will discuss the chapter of emergency. So coming back to the question, coming back to the question so this question says that which of the following is not a correct situation? The president rule is imposed. So I told you that immediately the president rule is not imposed. The governor or president try for the alternative. They for the alternative government. The president will ask to continue till alternative arrangement. So this statement is true, and I will explain that why this statement is true. Because uh, here I want to introduce to one more new concept, that is of caretaker government. So suppose at center president dissolve Lok Sabha, and presently there is a situation of empty parliament. There are no MPs. President rule. There is a president rule at the center, though it is not generally called president rule, but president is basically the authority who act in that situation. But as I told you earlier that under article 74 it has been clearly written that president shall not take any decision independently. He or she has to take decision only on the aid and advice of CUM. But you can question that at present the president had dissolved the Lok Sabha, there is no government, then who will aid and advise the president? So in our country there is a concept in almost in the parliamentary form of government there is a concept of caretaker government. The government immediately before the dissolution of Lok Sabha act as a caretaker government until a new government is elected. So uh, mm, suppose discuss a hypothetical situation that suppose in 2024 general election at the center no party get the majority. It is a situation of hung parliament. Then the government which was ruling up to 2024 immediately before the situation of hung assembly. So BJP was ruling under Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So the PM Narendra Modi and his council of minister will act as a caretaker government. So that government caretaker government will aid and advise the president to take any decision until a new government is formed after the fresh election. So this is the basically the concept of caretaker government. So coming back to the statements, this is I told you that it is incorrect, but according to answer which is asked, it is correct because it is asked that it is which is not a correct situation. So this I told you that it is not correct. President will ask to continue till that I told you that it is basically talking about caretaker government. Alternative arrangement means earliest possible general election. So at the center, the election are to be held within 6 months. Outgoing Council of Minister may have a charge till the formation of new government. So this here also it is talking about caretaker government. So we will discuss more about this caretaker government in the coming questions in such a way that this concept get into your mind. Coming to the next question, Union Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to. So I told you that only to Lok Sabha. So the answer is D. Here the parliament is also given, and I told you that when we have to choose that between the parliament and Lok Sabha, then you will always go with the Lok Sabha. So Lok Sabha is the right answer. Consider the following statement in the context of Indian Constitution. Union Council of Ministers shall be collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. So that is absolutely correct. Union Minister shall hold office during the pleasure of Prime Minister. So this statement is wrong because it is at the pleasure of President. It has been clearly written in 75 clause 2. Though the Prime Minister advise President to appoint the person of his choice as minister, but they are at the pleasure of President. So here in place of Prime Minister there should be President. So this option is incorrect. So the correct answer is 1 only. Coming to the next question, the Council of Ministers in the center shall be collectively responsible to the Parliament. So here it is written that it is collectively responsible to Parliament, then we will always go with the constitutional language. It is collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. So this statement is wrong. So in this way we can eliminate these both statement. The Union Minister shall hold office during the pleasure of President of India. So I told you in the above statement that it is at the Union Minister hold office during the pleasure of President. So that's right. The Prime Minister shall communicate to the President about the proposal of legislations. So this statement is also correct. These are about the duties of Prime Minister, because the Prime Minister shall communicate to the President about the proposal of legislation. This is one of the duty of Prime Minister. So the correct answer should be 2 and 3. Here we check the answer at B. So this statement is, these both statements are correct and this statement is wrong. Coming to the next question, so you can read in the explanation also. Under Article 78, it shall be the duty of Prime Minister. Which one of the following is not explicitly stated in the Constitution of India but followed as a convention? Finance minister is to be member of lower house, so it is not written in the constitution nor it is a convention. We know that a minister can either be from Lok Sabha, he can also belong to Rajya Sabha. So there is no such foundation that he has to be only from Lok Sabha. So this statement is incorrect. Prime Minister has to resign if he loses the majority in the lower house. So that is the base core concept of the parliamentary system. But we will discuss this statement later. Coming to the next statement, all the part of India to be represented in the Council of Ministers. So it is neither a convention nor written in the constitution. So this statement is also wrong. In the event of both president and vice president demitting office simultaneously before the end of tenure, the speaker of lower house of parliament will officiate as the president? No, because I told you that in case when the post of president and vice president is vacant, then the chief justice of India act as a president, and when the chief justice of India is also not there, then the senior most judge of Supreme Court act as a president. So coming to this statement B, why it is a convention? Because it is nowhere written that prime minister has to resign if he loses the majority in the lower house. So this convention come from the statement under articles 75 clause 3, which says that council of ministers shall be collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. And one of the interpretation of this statement is that Lok Sabha can remove council of minister if they do not have the required majority. Suppose in case of no confidence motion, which is if passed in the Lok Sabha, then council of minister resign. So this is one of the interpretation that prime minister has to resign if he loses the majority in the lower house, and this interpretation come from this statement, the collective responsibility, that the council of ministers is collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. So it is a convention, it is not explicitly written in the constitution, and this convention came from this statement. So B is the right answer. Coming to the next question, which one of the following motion the council of ministers can move? So we will read about these various motion in the chapter of parliament, but I will try to explain you in brief. No confidence motion is generally passed by the opposition party when they feel that the ruling party does not have the required number, so they passes a no confidence motion. If it is passed, then the prime minister and his council of ministers have to resign. Censor motion, this is also one of the motion. Censor means, the dictionary meaning of censor means disappointment or criticism. Suppose a member of parliament or in fact a minister of the ruling party suppose gives wrong fact or data in the parliament, then a censor motion can be passed against him. So in the censor motion, the ministry does not resign if it is passed, rather it is basically a type of criticism, harsh criticism of the government in power. And if the government feels that the opposition can bring no confidence motion, then they can, in this situation, can go for a confidence motion. So this confidence motion is moved by prime minister if it is at center, and if it is at the state, it is moved by chief minister on the direction mm, of the president or governor. So here the council of ministers, I told that this which are the following motion. So the motion which is moved by council of minister is confidence motion. Neither it is nor it is confidence no confidence motion. It is passed by the opposition. It is also basically passed by opposition. Adjournment motion is a type of censor motion which put a harsh criticism of the ruling party. So except this confidence motion, all three pass are all three motion are passed generally by the opposition parties, and this confidence motion is passed by the council of minister in case they feel that the opposition party can bring a no confidence motion, so they themselves passes a confidence motion that they still hold the majority number. So this statement is true. The answer is confidence motion. Coming to the next question, the council of minister has to resign if a no confidence motion is passed by majority member of. So we know that which house from the government. So it is the populous chamber, that is Lok Sabha. So the council of minister has to resign if a no confidence motion, and we know that no confidence motion is always passed in Lok Sabha. The answer here is A. It is never passed in the Rajya Sabha because it is not a popular chamber. It does not have any role in the formation of government. It is only the Lok Sabha which has a role, which has only the role in the formation of government. So answer is A. Coming to the next question, after resigning, whose permission does a minister require to make a statement? So this is a very factual question. Here the answer is actually the speaker. So if a member resigns from the office of minister, he can make a statement in the house about his resignation when allowed by the speaker. So there is nothing to explain in this. You can remember this. The number of Lok Sabha member required to table a no confidence motion against the council of minister. So as I told you that we will discuss much more in detail about these various type of motion, but for your information, the 50 member support is necessary uh, to move a to table or to move a no confidence motion. So 50 member is the right answer. The least number of member who can table, so that is 50. Consider the following statement regarding a no confidence motion. So there is no mention of no confidence motion in the Constitution of India. A motion of no confidence can be introduced in Lok Sabha only. So I told you that the House will decide the formation of government. There only the no confidence motion can be passed. And we know the about this article 75 clause 3 that Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to Lok Sabha. So Lok Sabha can only pass the no confidence motion. So this statement is true. There is no mention of confidence motion in the Constitution of India. No mention of no confidence motion. So this statement is actually right because there is no mention of no confidence motion in the Constitution of India. Rather, it has been mentioned in the rule of procedure. Rule of the procedure of Lok Sabha. It is not in the Constitution. So this statement is also true. So the correct answer is C. The no confidence motion may be introduced only in Lok Sabha, and it is not mentioned in the Constitution. Procedure for no confidence is mentioned in the rule of procedure and conduct of business of Lok Sabha, rule number 198. So you can remember this. These are trivial facts which are sometimes put into the statements. So you have to be very careful. Coming to the next question, who will decide the office of profit? So office of profit is decided by the At the center, it is decided by the parliament, and at the state level, it is decided by the state legislature. Office of profit is decided by the union parliament for the union on article this, and by state legislature for the states. So we will discuss this office of profit in the chapter of parliament, and I will tell you about this concept, why it is called office of profit. Coming to next question, in Indian polity, the executive is subordinate to. So this statement is basically a philosophical statement. Executive is subordinate to. We know that executive is part of legislature. So legislature determines the executive. So it is subordinate to legislature in that sense. Because legislature, if the legislature passes a no confidence motion, then executive can be can be dismissed, because it is the legislature which determine the executive. In Indian polity, executive is subordinate to the legislature. Parliament is the supreme legislative body of the country, and council of minister. So this statement is basically one of the interpretation of this statement, that the council of ministers is collectively responsible to the house of people, that is legislature. So in that sense, it is saying that the executive is subordinate to the legislature. So these are the some factual question. Which leader of Madhya Pradesh became the defense minister, as it has been asked in the MBPCS. So we can remember some of these names. Kailash Nath Kardju, who was the first finance minister of independent India. So here neither of the options are correct. R.K. Sethi served as the first finance minister of India 1947 to 1949 in Jawaharlal Nehru cabinet. Who was the law minister in the first cabinet? So it was, we all know that B.R. Ambedkar. Which one of the following term does not appear in the Constitution of India? So these questions will be discussed further much more in detail in the parliament, but a budget word is never used, is nowhere used in the constitution. In case in place of budget, there is a terminology of annual financial statement. In the common parlance, we always read in the newspaper that budget is introduced in the parliament, but in place of budget in the constitution, the word which has been used is annual financial statement. So budget is not there, appropriation bill is there, consolidated fund of India is there. So you do not have to worry, we will discuss about these different terminologies in the coming videos when we discuss the parliament chapter. Coming to next question, who was the 12th prime minister of India? So SD Devgowda. So in this way you can remember these tenures. Office of prime minister more than once. D of the Jawaharlal Nehru, Indira Gandhi, Gulzari Nanda. He acted as a acting prime minister 2 times. Atal Bihari Vajpayee also. Who among the following occupied the office of prime minister of India more than once with gap in their political career? So answer is C, 3, 4, 5. So Lal Bahadur Shastri has been prime minister only once. Jawaharlal Nehru has been prime minister 2 times, but it was a continuous tenure. Which prime minister died outside India? So that it was Lal Bahadur Shastri, died in Tashkent, the capital of Uzbekistan. Which of the following person was not a chief minister of any state before holding the office of prime minister? So it was Chandrasekhar. Moraji Desai was Chief Minister, Charan Singh was also there, PV Narasimha Rao was also there. Which one of the following had never been the Chief Minister of any state before becoming the Prime Minister of India? So it is Chandrasekhar. Sometimes when the UPSC asks question, uh, state PCS uh, ask the similar question in the subsequent years. So these are the match of the following respective Chief Minister who became the Prime Minister. So answer is A. Like PV Narasimha Rao has been the Chief Minister of Undivided Andhra Pradesh. Moraji Desai Bombay. Ajit Devgowda Karnataka. Charan Singh Undivided UP. Narendra Modi Gujarat. Who among the following was a member of Lok Sabha during the Prime Minister? SIP. Member of Lok Sabha. So who on the following member of Lok Sabha during his Prime Ministership? C. Devgowda, I.K. Gujral, Dr. Manmohan Singh were not the member of Lok Sabha. They belonged to Raj Sabha. While Chandrasekhar was the Prime Minister of India and also the member of Parliament from Balia Lok Sabha constituency. Which one of the following Prime Minister of India never attended the Parliament? It was we know that Chaudhry Charan Singh. His government fell before he could face Parliament. He never attended the Lok Sabha. The Indian National Congress withdrew support. The word Mantri Mandal is mentioned only in the. So I told you about this. This word cabinet has been used in Article 352 and it was added in 44th Amendment 1978 when the emergency after the emergency was put into place by Indira Gandhi. So this word was added because it was added as a safeguard that the Prime Minister could alone be not able to impose emergency in future. He or she has to take advice or consult cabinet also, and a written notice from Prime Minister and cabinet can only advise the president for an emergency. So these are the some questions. So we will discuss the remaining question because very few questions are left. So we will make another video in which we will discuss the remaining question. So if you like our video, please do like, share and subscribe our channel, and do comment in the comment section so that we can further improve and it may be helpful to you. Thank you very much.